Hey guys, this is Mr. Albanez, and as promised, here is the video that goes over the assignment you got today that is due tomorrow, so please have it first thing ready at the beginning of the class. And this is the practice quiz that I sent home with you in preparation for your real quiz that you have Tuesday morning or Tuesday when you come into class. So let's go ahead and start right away. You're going to see questions just like the ones you're seeing here, and you're going to have to do work just like the work you're going to do today on this video, on your homework. So if you're doing this, then props to you. You're already one step ahead of the game. The first question asked us to evaluate an expression of negative 4x plus 2y when x is equal to negative 1 over 3 and y is equal to 1 over 9. Now, we need to substitute the values that x and y are equal to into the expression here. In order to do that, we have to remember that negative 4x can also be said as negative 4 multiplied by x, and then plus 2y is the same thing as 2 times y. And so now we'll go ahead and plug in those values. So x is equal to negative 1 over 3, so negative 1 over 3. And then y is equal to 1 over 9. So I'm going to just put that in for x and y, and then drop everything else down the same. So negative 4 times, instead of x, negative 4 times negative 1 over 3 plus 2 times 1 over 9. So now we've substituted in x and y. And the next thing we're going to do is multiply, because we need to do our multiplication before we do our addition. So remember, PEMDAS. Multiplication before addition. So we're going to do this multiplication, and then whatever we get from those we'll add together. So negative 4 times negative 1 over 3, we can turn that negative 4 into a fraction by putting it over 1, and that 2 into a fraction by putting it over 1, and now we're multiplying fractions. Remember, you multiply fractions straight across, so this is negative 4 times negative 1, which is going to give me a positive 4. 1 times 3 gives me 3, and then plus 2 times 1 gives me 2. 1 times 9 gives me 9. So I now have 4 over 3 plus 2 over y. Now before I can begin adding those fractions, I need to find something which is my lowest common denominator. So I'm going to need to find my lowest common denominator before I can start adding these fractions. So looking at these fractions, I can tell that my lowest common denominator is going to be 9, because 3 will go into 9 and 9 will go into 9, so 9 is going to be the least common denominator. 3 to get to 3, I'm going to multiply that by, you thought it, 3. And then if I multiply the bottom by 3, I'm going to multiply the top by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. And then 9 to get to 9, that's times 1, so that's actually going to stay the same. Just 2 over 9. Now I'm ready to add my numbers, my numerators. 12 plus 2 is 14. And then the 9 plus 9, that stays as 9. We went through all the trouble of getting the least common denominator. We're not going to change it. Now the last thing we need to do is simplify. So we're going to divide. 9 goes into 14 one time. 14 minus 9 gives me remainder of 5. And so my answer, and this is where some people get stuck, is the number of times it goes in evenly, this top number is going to become your whole number. So 1, the remainder becomes the top number of your fraction, your numerator, and then the denominator stays the same as these denominators. So these were all 9, so this is still going to stay over 9. So my answer for the first one is 1 and 5 over 9. And there's all the work to show it. Just a quick recap. First thing we did was substituted in the values for x and y. We turned the whole numbers into fractions by putting them over 1, multiplied them out to get our new fractions of 4 over 3 and 2 over 9. We then added those together by finding the least common denominator, added the numerators, got 14 over 9, and then simplified to 1 and 5 over 9 by dividing. All right, let's do number 2. Number 2, adding fractions and mixed numbers. Provide your answer as a mixed number in simplest form. Very important. So mixed number in simplest form. So we've got this problem, 3 and 1 over 8 plus 5 and 1 over 2. First thing we're going to need to do, turn both of them into improper fractions. We want to get rid of the whole number. So in order to do that, take the denominator, multiply it by the whole number, and then add it to the numerator. So 8 times 3 gives me 24, plus 1 gives me 25, so negative 25 over 8, don't forget that negative, plus 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11, so 11 over 2. All right, I've gotten rid of my whole numbers. Next thing I'm going to do, find the least common denominator. So what would be the least common denominator of 8 and 2? If I list out their multiples, 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 is the first number they have in common. So least common multiple for 8 and 2 is 8. So that means my least common denominator is going to be 8. 8 to get to 8, you're going to multiply by 1. Multiply both sides by 1 keeps this fraction the same. 2 to get to 8, I'm going to multiply that by 4. So I'm going to multiply the top by 4 as well. 11 times 4 gives me 44. All right, almost there. Now I've got negative 25 over 8 plus 44 over 8. I know the denominator is going to stay the same. And here I have a negative number and I'm adding a positive number. Same sign or different signs, add or subtract, subtract. 44 minus 25 is going to give me 19. Positive or negative, bigger number is negative, so it's going to be a positive 19. Now I encourage you to do some mental math. So you got to ask yourself in this case, because we're going to divide, how many times 8 goes into 19? 8 goes into 19 2 times, which is 16, and 19 minus 16 gives you a remainder of 3. So that would give you an answer of 2 and 3 over 8. And if you need that division, that would be 19 on the inside, 8 on the outside. 8 goes into 19 2 times. 19 minus 16 has a remainder of 3, and so top number becomes your whole number. This number, the remainder becomes your numerator, and then the 8 stays the same. So 2 and 3 over 8. All right, let's see the next one, simplify the fraction. This looks kind of weird on the video, but you can see on your paper that this is 4 over 15 times negative 1 over 2. So 4 over 15 times negative 1 over 2. Now I'm multiplying a positive number and a negative number. My answer is going to be negative. Remember, multiplying fractions, you just multiply straight across. So 4 times 1 is 4. 15 times 2 is 30. And we said this was going to be negative. Negative 4 over 30, can that be simplified? Yes, they're both even numbers. So remember, and really important, when you simplify a proper fraction, that's a small number over a big number, you can do the reverse division ladder. And we can see that both of them are even, so 2 is going to go into both of them. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 30 15 times. 2 is a prime number, and so once we have reached a prime number, we know that there is no number besides 1 in itself that it'll go into. So 2, and does 2 go into 15? 2 does not go into 15. So 1 and done. 2 over 15. Negative is what 4 over 30 simplifies into. Negative 2 over 15. All right, last one. So for this one, we're being asked to convert the following, should say following, fractions into decimals and place them on the number line. So we've got 4 over 5, and we want to turn that into a decimal. How do you turn a fraction into a decimal? By using long division. So remember, top number goes on the inside, bottom number goes on the outside, and then the steps for long division are DMSA, dad, mom, sister, aunt, where dad stands for divide. 5 goes into 4 0 times. Mom stands for multiply. 5 times 0 is 0. Sister stands for subtraction. 4 minus 0 is 4. And then A doesn't stand for addition, but add a decimal and a 0. Start from the top. D, 5 goes into 40 8 times. M, 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract 40 minus 40 is 0. And once you've gotten to 0 or you found a repeating pattern, that's where you stop. So 4 over 5, let me do that again. 4 over 5 is equal to 0 and 8 tenths. And now we need to place that 0 and 8 tenths on the number line. Looking at this number in the tenths place, 8, I'm going to be looking for somewhere in the positive region that it's going to go in. I know it's going to be less than 1 because in my ones place I have a 0 here. And so it's going to be less than 1, but greater than 0 for sure. The first number in the tenths place is an 8. So I'm going to be looking at these numbers and look for where I can place this 0 and 8 tenths. This has a 2 in the tenths place. This has a 5. This has a 7. So it's going to be somewhere in front of this 7 is that I'm going to place the 0 and 8 tenths. Now for negative 4 over 5, that's going to be negative 0 and 8 tenths because it's the same number, so it's going to be the same process, but just negative. And so I'm going to put that one somewhere right here and behind the negative 0 and 75 hundredths. And that's because I'm going to put it behind it over on this side, the left side of it, because as I move to the left, my negative numbers become more negative. So it would be the negative 0.8 would be somewhere on the left side of it because it's more negative than negative 0 and 75 hundredths. All right, so hopefully that helps you out. I recommend that you watch this video just one more time, even if you have already done all the problems. Just go ahead and watch this video just one more time, just so that you can be, certain on all the steps. Make sure you're checking for those negatives. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section below, and if I am on my phone, I'll go do my best to answer them for you. Thanks, guys. See you in class.